I disabled my mail.
Yeah, I'm just looking for mine real quick.
Okay. Oh shoot, why did it end the broadcast? What the hell did I do? Yikes. I think I may have just messed something up.
Uh-oh.
I think we're gonna have to jump on again.
Uh-oh, I may need Alex.
I don't know why I ended the broadcast. That's bizarre.
Is it a new link or do I just refresh this one?
I think we have to jump off and jump back on. And then I'll send you a new link. Sorry.
Okay. Al, do you mind coming here for a sec? Okay, I'll see you in a minute, Alan.
Bye. Hello, everyone. This is Alan Cohen. I may already be broadcasting. It looks like I've been broadcasting for 2 entire minutes. I am so sorry. We're having a few technical difficulties, but my pal Deb Rubin is here. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Apparently, we were on for 2 minutes discussing technical issues, which happens. I thought I had ended the broadcast, but apparently we were still live, and there were.
Well, you just taught people a lot of stuff about StreamYard.
and StreamYard, and about stress, no doubt.
Because, that's
right. Because these things happen. So Deb, welcome everybody out there in Facebook land. I'm Alan Samuel Cohen, but you mostly know me because you're on my Facebook personal page for the most part. And I am here tonight with my good friend Debbie Rubin, and I'm gonna give a quick introduction. I just said Debbie.
You did.
It came up on my screen as Debbie. I've never called you Debbie.
Did you just become my brother?
Now, Debbie.
That's right. Or my parents.
I am very concerned. Deb Rubin, who is the Success Playbook coach for high-performing financial services professionals. Deb's been an executive in the financial services industry for over 3 decades. She must have started when she was 8 years old. She's passionate about helping financial professionals who tend toward the type A, highly driven life. And she helps them have all the personal and professional success they desire without stress, anxiety, and an underlying fear of not being good enough or not doing enough. And Deb is committed to helping each of her clients unlock his or her personal power and to thrive. And we're going to talk tonight a lot about success and about how to move through stress. And these are particularly stressful times. And we think Deb will be able to give us all great advice and support. So welcome, Deb. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. So folks, we encourage you to put comments in the chat box. And I'm going to ask you actually all to put in #success, because that's what we're talking about. And also just you can just pop in there where you're from. We'd love to know that too. If you're catching this as a replay, put in #replay, because we want to know who had a chance to listen so we can reach out and get to know you better. So Deb, let's start with some basics. Tell us a little bit about your coaching work and also how you got into coaching, how you find yourself here.
Sure. So I've been in corporate America, it feels like my whole life. And anyone who's been in corporate America for a long time knows there's ups and there's serious downs. And a number of years ago, we were in a downtime. Anyone who's been in corporate America for a long time knows there's ups
I'm hearing
and
you
there's
twice.
serious downs. Yes. A number of years ago, I'm hearing myself.
Yeah. How does it sound?
It's weird to hear yourself talk.
Well, the good thing is the chat is working, so we know that. So anyway,
Yes.
you were in corporate America.
Corporate America, we were experiencing some turbulent times. And for those of you who've been in corporate and experienced reorgs, you know those can be very stressful times. And I realized that I was disengaging. And I'm not a person who disengages. I give 180% all the time. And so in order to reconnect, I decided to do something that I had always wanted to do, which is pull something off my bucket list. And that was to go to executive coach school. And my logical mind gave me all the logical reasons for it, which was it would make me a better manager. It would help me help my clients. It would do all sorts of great things. And what ended up happening was coach school changed my whole life. I didn't realize that I had an underlying sense of anxiety probably my entire life. And while my career was successful by anyone's standards, I'm an executive in a financial services company and at a pretty high level, it also held me back. I needed external validation. I had a sense of neediness. I never quite felt good enough. And I'm sure that transmitted to other people. As I started to find comfort in my own skin, my life changed. I could sleep at night. I wasn't stressed out. I got promoted. Things at home got a whole lot better. Relationships with my kids got a whole lot better. And people started to say, what are you on? Like, what are you taking? Like, where's the magic pill?
Right.
And the magic pill was stepping into me. It was accepting who I was, and it was accepting the moment. It was becoming much more conscious and much more aware. And in financial services, that sounds a little frou-frou, but it works. And people started to say, what are you doing? I want some of that. And that translated into building this coaching practice that's been an immense amount of fun and very fulfilling.
Amazing. So it sounds like when you went through coaching school, you maybe weren't expecting that there would be so much self-reflection and so much awareness about how you were showing up in the world. And so it was like a double whammy. You helped yourself and then you were able to help others.
I had no idea. I had no idea. I thought I was like this aware executive, aware of me and my emotions and how I showed up. And I was clueless. So it was tremendous amounts of aha moments, a lot of self-reflection, tremendous journey, and one that started then but continues now.
So how soon did you start coaching people from the time that you enrolled in a coaching program to when you actually started having clients and coaching?
So it's really funny. So a gentleman that I've known for a long, long time kept emailing me names of people and saying, this person's coaching and this person's coaching. What do you know about this person? I've been around for a long time. I know a lot of people. And so I'd give him insight into this person and that person. And then one day when I got the email, I said, I'm a newbie here, but if you'd like, you can be my guinea pig. And he said, sign me up. So we started working together, and I'll be candid. At first, he said, well, what are you going to charge me? And I'm like, whatever you want to pay. And of course, that very first check that he sent me, I have framed because it was my first non-corporate payment.
Right.
But he experienced so much growth in a very short period of time. He was stressed out. He was snapping at everybody. He was not engaged at home. He and his wife had not been experiencing a lot of closeness, I think, because he was so worried about everything.
Yeah.
And pretty quickly, he started to see major changes happen. And we worked on important skills. We worked on things like listening, really listening. And he said, I'm going to try this at home. And I'm like, great. And he called me a couple days later and he said, I haven't listened to my wife in I don't know how long. He said, it kind of felt like when we were dating. He said, I was actually listening to her. And I said, and what happened? He said, a lot of good. So that was just a lot of these things start in the business world. A lot of my clients come to me because of things that are going on at work.
Right.
But we are not one dimensional. We are multidimensional. And as you start to work on things at work, they also happen at home. And your overall sense as a human being begins to emerge.
So I'm curious, what are some of the challenges, some of the issues that people have come to you for prior to COVID, and then what are some of the things that you're seeing now?
Great question. So I work in a very fast-paced type A world. Stress is the norm. Everyone is on a rung, on a ladder, and they realize that their performance really matters. People have come to me with a lot of different things, but there is commonality. So one huge thing in our industry is a lack of work-life balance, for whatever that means. People are so focused on wanting to be available and wanting to be accessible in a work environment that they take emails and text messages at 8 o'clock at night, at 10 o'clock at night. They don't have meals with their families. They can't participate put their kids into the bath. That device is attached to them. And I actually had one of my clients say, my husband says that he doesn't have to worry about the other guy. The entity he's competing with is my email.
Yeah.
And it was causing a lot of strain in their marriage.
Yeah.
So work-life balance is huge. The undercurrent of stress and what it does, people think stress is a motivator, and to some degree it is until it gets out of control. But stress unchecked does all sorts of things. So many people can't sleep at night. So many people can't find time to exercise. So many people start putting on weight. Or if they don't, they're struggling. They're doing other things to navigate their stress. So we see a lot of work-life balance, a lot of need. I need to be available. I need to be available. If I'm not, what does it say about me? A lot of undercurrents of stress. And I think those are the biggest challenges that we face.
And have you seen an exacerbation of that, given shelter in place and all that's going on?
Absolutely. So not surprising for people who are parents. Here are these super type A, super successful superstars who always have to be accessible. And now they have dogs barking in the background, and they have kids whining in the background, and they have to excuse themselves to tell Johnny that they're on a phone call or on a Zoom call.
Right.
There's a lot more togetherness, right? Where can I have quiet in my house so people don't, realize that I've got all this noise in this background? Right. But there's also an undercurrent of fear.
Yeah.
Some of it relates to the virus itself, but much of it relates to what does this mean? Mm-hmm. What does this mean in the financial markets? What does this mean to business? And let's get more personal. What does it mean to my job? Is my job at risk? And then all the ifs, the what ifs happen. Yeah. What if we don't sell this business? What if our sales are down? What if I can't produce at the level that my company wants me to? And then you can take that what if into a very scary place.
So I want to make sure that tonight we give our listeners a few quick tips and takeaways, but let's put that to the side for a second. And I read something that you had written, or a video I caught, where you talked about this interesting complex, or this sort of syndrome that you see among a lot of type A women executives. And I would love it if you would share the story that you shared the other day about what you encountered when you were tidying up your office.
Sure, yes. So the other day I was cleaning up, which is not my favorite activity. And I just started to rifle through some old cards that I kept. And as I started to look at the cards, all of a sudden I had an epiphany. And that epiphany was so many of these cards had either Wonder Woman or Superwoman or Supergirl on the front. And I just sat there for a few minutes because these are also all cards that I kept. So these had meaning to me.
Yeah.
And I realized, I've joked about this before, but looking at this, I realized that it wasn't a private joke. Other people know.
Yeah.
That I've always strived for so much of my life. I strive to be Wonder Woman. And everything that means. So what is Wonder Woman? She is the perfect female ever, right? She's beautiful and she's strong and she's tough and nothing ever phases her. And I started to think about what that means to a human Wonder Woman. And a human Wonder Woman is, you know, superstar at work, superstar at home. You're the perfect everything. You're the spouse, the mom, the daughter, the friend, the sister. You're available to everybody all the time. I had a thought pop into my mind. One day my husband watched me. I was making breakfast. I was talking on a call and I was using a barbell because I was actually working out at the same time. And he looked at me and he just said, "What's going on?" Well, that's Wonder Woman, right? And so obviously what happens when you set the bar that high, the reality is that you can't hit because Wonder Woman's not real.
Yeah.
She is a creation that a very smart writer or comic book person created.
Yeah.
And so what does that do to one's self-esteem when they aspire toward perfection?
Yeah.
What it does is you always fall short, always. And I can't tell you how many moms will say, "I can't do anything right. My house is a mess. My kids are crying. You know, I can't focus on my work. I'm behind on submitting my expenses. What's wrong with me?" I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
And that's also the driver of stress, the driver of not being able to sleep. Because if you have to be perfect, how can you fit everything that you need to fit into a 16 or 18-hour day? You wake up in a panic because there's things you haven't done. And you have the guilt wheel in your head of everything you've ever done that isn't perfect. Yeah. And it causes tremendous amount of strain and pain. And I hear this, I won't call it as Wonder Woman syndrome, but I hear the result of Wonder Woman syndrome on a regular basis.
Yeah. Yeah. And what is that? What is that result?
The result is never feeling good enough about yourself.
Yeah.
It's often exhaustion because you drive and you drive and you drive. If you're not good enough, you don't deserve time off.
Yeah.
If you're not good enough, you certainly don't deserve nurturing time. And just a tremendous hit to your self-esteem. So it hits a lot of professional women. And I will say this too, men have their own perfection syndromes. I see it as well. But this one just hit me very personally.
Yeah. So you call yourself the Success Playbook coach. I love that. I love that title. And I think in there, people need to define success for themselves. What are the challenges to a woman with this Wonder Woman complex in terms of defining or reframing what success looks like?
Well, that's where it starts. So it's a great question. And for many people, they've never taken the time to define what success means to them. They get caught up in this rat race. The other thing that I see is people in my industry, when you ask what I would consider today an easy question, which is, let's talk about your values. People don't take the time to think about their values and how their values are being honored in the life that they live. I'm not talking about people not being super ethical. They are. But I'm talking about their core values. And a lot of times what causes stress is a disconnect between values and things that you're doing. Like if you're a working mom and you value precious time at home, and you are driven because of nerves, because of anxiety, to working 20 hours a day, you're in conflict with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that creates a lot of challenge. So I just think it's interesting as we look to see what creates challenges with our own definition of success.
Mm-hmm.
What is success?
Mm-hmm.
Is it being higher up on the rung? Is it actually having a life? Is it having peace? Is it being present? How many people go through years of work and get to a point in life and look back and realize they've missed everything?
Yeah.
It's so common. So those are the kinds of things that my clients become aware that they don't want.
Yeah.
They want to live now. They
Yeah.
want to have it all. Let's face it, we
Yeah.
all do. But what does it all mean?
Yeah.
And what's the definition? And those are things that people need help with, because that's not something we learn how to do in school.
Yeah. And I know that you, because you do have a full-time career as well as a robust coaching practice, you've created a group program so that you can bring a lot of these tools and techniques to more people in an intimate setting. And I would love it if you would spend just a few moments talking about what your Stress to Success program looks like, and also really relate the challenges of stress on one's success as they define it.
Absolutely. So this is a very small, intimate group, and I want it to be a small, intimate group because I want the women who join this group to have an opportunity to be heard, have an opportunity to fully participate, have an opportunity to have personal coaching time when we're doing this together. And we're going to focus on those things that I'll call it pull people down. We are, as human beings, we are conditioned beings. And we often set ourselves up to be in a place that we're comfortable. Even if it's not a place that we like, it's a place that we're comfortable. So starting to figure out, what are my triggers? What are the things that cause me to not feel good about myself? What are the things that create stress for me or anxiety that cause me perhaps to not be as effective at work or as focused? What are the things that cause me to get distracted? And then what is the outcome of that? What happens when I'm in that place? Ultimately, the goal is to identify triggers. It's to identify those blocks that people have. What do you believe that gets in your way and that holds you back from being as successful as you can be? I can tell you that for some people, it's that I have to be accessible 24/7.
Yeah.
And so you say, which professional do you know? If you needed your attorney at 8:00 at night, could you reach him? The answer is no.
Yeah.
If you needed a high-end doctor, I'm not talking about going to the ER, talking about a specific doctor at 8:00 on a Friday night, could you reach him? The answer is no.
Yeah.
So starting to define what really creates success. What does success mean to you? What are your triggers? What are your beliefs? What holds you back from stepping into your skin, stepping into your body, and creating a life that's calm?
Yeah, and I love that the timeliness of a program like this is so perfect, because any delineation that there once was between home and work has, as in this moment, pretty much evaporated unless people can identify boundaries for themselves and redefine how they can be successful in this strange new world that we're in right now. So kudos to you for the timeliness of something like this, to really help women, with values alignment, boundary setting, stress reduction techniques, all of those important things, and to women in financial services right now who are probably really like at that high intensity
breaking
vibration.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a lot of people, it's kind of breaking points. So it's really fun, Alan. For me, I was that person.
Yes.
And a lot of people who've known me for a long time know that.
Yeah.
And they now see me navigating through life in a very different way without that, I'll call it that massive weight on my shoulder that was stress. And so as people see that, they see that it's possible. And I joke, I always say this, that, pre-coach school, if you had looked up the word stress or anxiety on Google, you actually would have seen my face. You didn't even need words, right? This is it. And then fast forward years to now, the things that would cause my buttons to get pushed or for me to get stressed or anxious, it doesn't happen very often. Once in a blue moon, I'm human, of course, but it's rare. And so people say, I want peace. I say to a lot of women, what is it that you really want? And what I hear is the word peace.
Yeah.
I want peace. And what's amazing is you can get it. Even in the craziness of the world that we're in today, and the craziness before COVID and what will be after COVID, there will always be an opportunity for non-peace, for stress.
Yeah.
So going on a personal journey to identify your methods, because each of us is different, of what it is that you need for yourself to relax and find peace and find calm, that's the biggest gift anybody can give themselves.
Well, I know that I've attended several of your seminars and your webinars and some of the breathing exercises and the mindfulness work that you do with professionals. I know personally for me, it's relaxed me just hearing your voice. You have a very calming influence. So you'll give the information, provide the link for how people can set up a call with you to talk about the program if it's a fit, or to just reach out to you for a resource. That would be wonderful. And asking you to multitask here, but if you could give our viewers a few tips, a few things that they can do starting now, just to help them to set them up for success by helping them reduce some of the stress, that would be awesome.
Sure. So what I'll share is this. So I have a couple things that I like to share with people. The first one is what I truly believe is the natural antidote to stress is breathing. You talked about that before. And people say, I can't meditate. I'm not talking about meditation. I'm talking about unlocking something that you have access to always, that's natural and healthy and beautiful. And that's learning how to breathe properly. So we don't have a lot of time. I won't take you through it, but
please, we have as much time as we need, because I think everybody appreciates the moment of breathing. So
let's breathe for a moment. So breathe in through your nose, and as you breathe in, I always recommend that people actually put their hand on their stomach, because most of us breathe high. We breathe in our chest, not in our belly. So if you will, put your hand on your stomach and take a nice, beautiful inhale through your nose. And then when you're ready, exhale through your nose and lightly contract your belly. Let's do that again. In through your nose and out through your nose. And then on our next inhale, I'd like to suggest that you turn your attention to the muscles behind your eyeballs. If your eyes are closed, that's fine. And as you exhale, completely relax the muscles behind your eyes. On your next inhale, turn your attention to your jaw. And as you exhale, completely relax your jaw. Your tongue will fall to the bottom of your mouth, and your entire face will relax. On your next inhale, I'd like you to turn your attention to your shoulders. And as you breathe out, let your shoulders fall back and down. And envision the stress leaving your shoulder blades, being pulled to the ground with gravity. Really feel the stress drain. On your next inhale, move your attention to your chest and take a beautiful inhale through your nose, really filling that chest cavity and your belly. And when you exhale, relax your chest muscles. So many people don't realize how tight they hold their bodies. On your next inhale, I want you to turn your attention to your arms, your elbows, your forearms, and your fingers. And whatever your fingers are holding on to, your belly, your chair, let the tension drain out of your fingertips. On your next inhale, turn your attention to your belly. That's where I've always held tension. And as you breathe in, if you have knots, breathe into those knots. And as you exhale, begin to see the space in your stomach. Because so many people have stomach knots. Let's do that again. On your next inhale, I want you to turn your attention to your legs and concentrate on your hips and your knees, your calves, your feet and your toes. And where your feet touch the ground, let gravity pull all the rest of the tension out of your body. As you breathe in, just fill your body with that delicious, wonderful, calming oxygen. And exhale out any final stress. If you've closed your eyes with me as we've gone through this exercise, I'm going to count to 3. Please open your eyes. 1, 2, 3. So I relax myself. Now I need to wake up.
Now, can you imagine 8 weeks with Deb having you that kind of relaxation with tips and strategies and tools so that you can also do that on your own and increase your mindfulness and your productivity and I only wish, Deb, that I was a female for the next 8 weeks to be in your group.
Well, thank you. As you clear your body, your brain actually sharpens and this sense of peace and calm comes over you. So we'll do breathing exercises and we'll do all sorts of things to help the participants in the group find what enables them to relax at any time, in any moment, and really be able to perform at the level they want to perform at any time. That's my ultimate goal.
And what I love so much too, and I've worked with so many coaches and in my lifetime, is your approach, because you do work very inner in terms of energy and mindset and all that. But because you are a successful executive in financial services, you're also able to really connect the inner work to the outer results, whether it's women or men that you're working with. And I think that's huge. I think people's results exponentially are so much greater because they are also working with you to do all that inner work.
I've had clients experiencing amazing things, and it's about them. It's not about me. It's about them unlocking their personal power. But I've had people experience just tremendous personal breakthroughs, professional breakthroughs after this. And do it at a time that all sorts of other good things are happening too. Not one dimensional. It's across the board. So I'm really excited about this program. I can't wait to get started, actually. And I can't wait to see people who I respect and appreciate and admire find peace, because that's what they want more than anything else. Now, they want success too.
Of course.
But they don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Wonderful. Well, I want you to come back and tell us as the group continues how people are experiencing all sorts of success. I would love that. But I want to shift the focus back to you a little bit. So I'm curious what I always like to ask people about some of the challenges that they've experienced in their lives and what they learned through those challenges. So that's the question that I have for you right now is, one or two of your greatest challenges and how you overcame them and what you learned from them.
So one big challenge that I've had, and I think many people have had in corporate life, this is corporate life. I'll give you a corporate one first, and then give me time to think about a personal one. But in corporate life, a lot of times you work and you work and you work and you work so hard, and then somebody else gets promoted.
Yeah.
And it's crippling. You go very much to, why is this happening to me? And it's not fair. And, you look at a lot of all the negatives. And I did that in my career. I admit it. Well, people would get promoted and I'd say, why? And I'll just say this, why did he get promoted? Right. And it took me till more recent years, and I've had my share of promotions. So I've been in that wonderful place, but you don't learn from wonderful. You learn from challenges.
Right.
And that has really helped me to look inward. It's helped me to become much more open to feedback. I realized when people gave me feedback, I didn't really hear them because I was so caught up in my own head.
Yeah.
And some of the feedback that I've received in recent years has been so powerful. And I did not have the capacity before to absorb it. I would pretend like I did. I'd be a good corporate citizen. Oh, thank you for that feedback. But I wasn't listening to it. I wasn't integrating it. And so I can listen now because I realize that it's not a hit to me as a human being. If somebody is willing to share that with me and it's something that can help me grow and develop, I want to understand it. I want to touch it. I want to figure it out. I want to see how I can embrace it and see what it might be able to do, play with it. And one of the things I talk about, I was never a person who played with things before, with concepts, because I was Miss Perfect.
Yeah.
But it's changed my life. So that's, and that was not a one-time challenge. It happens. I've been in the business for 30 years. On a personal level, it's funny. We always learn more from our challenges. And what I'll say is, I have been a working mom. I raised 3 amazing men because they're all
3 sons.
Yeah.
My 3 sons.
And I would say that a lot of the time that I was raising my boys, I was everything that I talk about. I was so stressed out about work. And I brought that anxiety home and I snapped. And, now I look back on it and I'm like, what were you thinking? Right. But the beauty of life is it's never too late to learn. Yeah. And through my journey, I've learned so much. And it's interesting because it's enabled me to engage with my family in a whole different way because I don't approach everything with fear and stress. And as a result, they don't have to protect mom the way they might want to now that they're adults. We can engage in a whole different way. So that I carried that through a lot of their lives. And it was only through this inner work that I've been able to see it, recognize it at the time. I needed it for whatever reason, but none of us need that in me today.
I'm glad you talked about your family, and I've had the pleasure to meet all of them, and you have done an amazing job raising some really wonderful boys. So so you've managed to find some great balance there. What's been the hardest decision or one of the hardest decisions that you've had to make in your life and in your business? And yeah, what did you learn from that?
Wow, that's a tough question.
Off the book, right? It was not one that you prepared.
No, not one that I prepared. And again, we make tough decisions all the time. I'm trying to think which one I'll share. So I will share this one. So I have worked with somebody for a very, very long time in different contexts. And we kind of hit a funny impasse. And it was a situation with needing to be a manager and needing to be a friend at the same time. And it's really hard when you have that kind of relationship with your employees. And what I can say is I'm blessed because I do. And sometimes you have to make hard decisions. You have to have hard conversations. And they're not necessarily friend conversations, but those are the only conversations that you can have that enable that person to grow. And so I was really unsettled with having to have that kind of conversation. I was on the fence. You know, should I let this ride? Yeah. Should I address it? Why am I not addressing it? Because again, there's all the stuff that goes on through your head. Right. And so this may not have been, I've had many challenges, but you know, this is a professional challenge where I really had to make a decision about which hat do I wear? Yeah. And what is that going to mean to this relationship that I value very much? And I was able to make it clear that I was wearing a manager hat, that this was not a personal thing at all, and to have a very, what I'll call it, powerful conversation. It became emotional. Yeah. It was not emotional for me because I really believed with all my being that I was doing the right thing. And the great news is this person has just done tremendously. It was tough. It was hard. I kind of put the relationship on the line, but the outcome was really, really positive. And it taught me that I have people who say, how can you handle confrontation so well? It's because I don't view it as confrontation at all. Yeah. I view it as my commitment to somebody to help them grow. And if I didn't have that conversation, then I would feel like I was letting them down. So it's all in the delivery. But one of those early sessions showed me how important it is. How many managers don't tell their employees the truth? Yeah. That is not something that I'd ever want to do. Yeah.
They farm it out to human resources.
Or the person finds out at performance management time.
Exactly.
Or they find out when they don't get promoted.
Right.
So having a close relationship with employees is wonderful, but then being able to really help them grow sometimes means being uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm looking at the time. I want to leave that one. There are two questions I have left.
Sure.
So the first question is, who are one or two or three people who have had the greatest influence on you in your life? That's the first question.
So the first person, I think so many people say this, is actually my dad. My dad and I were born on the same day. We're July 4th babies too.
Oh, cool.
So until I was 5, I thought all that partying was for me.
It was.
It was, of course. And so my father was an amazing human being. My dad was brilliant. He was a healer through and through. He was the kind of doctor that didn't really pay that much attention. Early in his life he did, but later in his life he practiced the kind of medicine he believed in, all through his beliefs. And he was a healer through and through and through. And he also looked at life as a big adventure, a lot of curiosity, never stopped learning. My dad passed at 82 years old, but at that time he was still learning. He was still traveling. He was going and going. So he taught me that there isn't a time when it's over. You continue to grow, you continue to advance, you continue to look at the world and be curious. And I love that lesson. And then just one more that I'll give you is I actually had a coach right after coach school who was the opposite of what anyone would have ever thought I would have chosen. She was super frou-frou, and I'm not. And I don't know what it was that drew me to her, but she was the right person at the right time. She didn't let me hide from my demons. She didn't let me hide from my fears. She forced me to bring them out of the dark, is what she would say. And what she'd always say is when you force someone to bring something out of the dark, it loses its power. And she was right. So even though it was hard and it was emotional and I would have to sit in quiet for an hour after a session with her, what I learned, what that helped to bring me to the point where I am today.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's lovely. So final question, and then I'm going to sort of give you an open mic. So what's a question that you would love for me to ask you right now?
I guess I'd love to give the audience one more really powerful tip if I can.
Excellent.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
So the mind is a really incredibly amazing thing. And our minds, I could spend a whole hour on this, and I promise that I won't. But when you get really nervous or anxious, a part of your mind is triggered that's called your reptilian brain. And I don't know if anybody on this call has ever had an experience where they feel really anxious. And because we're super high performing people, we try to talk ourselves out of it, and we can't. And then we start to say, what's wrong with me? Well, nothing. What happens is when your reptilian brain is triggered, your reptilian brain does not understand words or logic because of the evolution of it. So your reptilian brain only understands proof. So this is a scary time. And when you find yourself anxious, and we all do, because we are all high performers and we all want to succeed and we all want to show the world a certain image. When you find yourself really anxious, it's your reptilian brain that's triggered. Words, logic, it's not going to take it away. What you need to do is you need to prove to that part of your brain that you're safe. And the best way to do that is to get very, very present, to begin to use all your senses and to repeat after you do those exercises, I am safe. So let's say you're trying to fall asleep at night and you can't, and you're in a panic. You start to do that slow breathing. And then you start to say, what do I feel right now? I feel the air on my skin. I am safe. I feel my pajamas on my arm. I am safe. I feel the pillow under my head. I am safe. You're proving to that part of your body that you're completely safe, nothing's wrong, and you will relax, especially if you couple it with breathing. I can't say that enough. Learning how to get present is one of the biggest keys to peace. So try it if you're stressed out.
That's beautiful. The gift is in the present, right?
All in the present.
And final question. And I know you're going to leave all the links in the comments. Final question is really: will you give one piece of advice to that person out there right now? And it could be a woman working in your profession, but it could be anyone who is listening. I'm seeing a bunch of folks here from all different professions and walks of life. But one piece of advice that can give us some confidence or some peace amidst this time of great uncertainty.
Of course. So what I would say, the biggest thing, and I've watched you, Alan, on Facebook, and I've watched you go through a lot of these things on Facebook because you share with people what you feel, which I think is so lovely, is sometimes we can so easily get caught up in the noise. We can get caught up in the fear. We can get caught up in what I'll call the what if loop. And that's when you have all the what ifs. What if I get sick? And what if this makes me really sick? Or maybe worse, what if somebody I love gets sick? And what if there's nothing I can do to help them? And what if I can't get them a hospital room? And what if, and what if, and what if? we send ourselves into this tremendous state of anxiety. So I'm going to say what I said before. It's about getting that part of your brain that's triggered is that reptilian brain. You need to relax, breathe, get very present. What I said to my son this weekend, one of my sons had a little crisis, and I said to him, for every what if, there's a what if not.
Beautiful.
So keep that in mind. Focus on what you can control, not on what you can't control. Breathe and stay present. And that will really help you navigate through this. The thing that I realized long ago is when there's a crisis, you know how to respond. You don't have to guess how you're going to respond.
Right.
You will respond. So everything else is just your mind making you crazy.
Yeah.
So stay present and breathe.
And watch less television. That's really what Deb wanted to tell me.
That's right. No news, not too much social media. Skip over the scary ones. And just stay present.
So we told my hi mom, hi dad. Well, they're not on Facebook, so maybe somebody will tell them I'm talking about them. So my parents are watching so much news. We told them you've got to stop watching cable news because it's making you crazy. So we said you should watch the Nature Channel, right? Because that will be calming. Of course, like the first thing that was on the Nature Channel when they turned to the Nature Channel was like some animal, like a vulture, like killing like some other.
Oh no.
So we've now told them we'll have to find Disney films, nice Disney films, but not Bambi. Goodness. But not Bambi.
No, and there's a lot of things that a lot of research that shows, disconnect from screens an hour before you go to sleep. Put yourself into a routine. So gratitude journals are a really big, big thing. It helps you to put your mind into a happy and blessed place. Breathe, do those body scans. I'm going to put one shout out to a resource that I love. I have no stock in this, unfortunately, but it's actually the Calm app, CALM. I bought the Calm app for my 89-year-old mother and taught her how to use it, and she uses it every single day.
Amazing.
Yep, she loves it, and it helps her to find peace through all of this. So there are some great resources out there.
And that's a great tease up. So tomorrow night, tomorrow day, 2:30 Eastern time, I'm going to be interviewing one of my dear friends who is also my graphic journal teacher. And we're going to learn about graphic journaling and how it helps the brain and it helps us organize our thoughts. So I hope you all join me on StreamYard, Facebook Live tomorrow at 2:30. Deb, thank you so much. You're amazing.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. And to all of you out there, I'm going to wish you all peace because I think that's what we all need during this very kind of chaotic time.
That's peace and peace out.
Peace out. Thank you.
Night, everybody.